be the program director for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me first apologize that we are starting 35 minutes after the scheduled time. It is not how we would like to conduct business. Please accept our sincerest apologies for that. And just before we start, can I then request that we play the national anthem so that we can officially start with the business of the day, and request that all those who can stand up, that we stand up and start. Thank you. May I also request that Mr. Martin, the elder of the Indian community, Mr. Padiaki, and Reverend Kangi from the South African Council of Churches come forward for an interfaith prayer, and request that they try to be short, but without really not seeking guidance and blessings for this day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We bow our heads and we pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you today for this moment that we have as a diverse people, Lord, to come together in your name. Lord, I ask you to bless us in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
All the honorary guests sitting in the front and also behind, I greet you. I say, Vanakkam, the God in me sees the God in you. So I'm going to say a short prayer. Thank you. Kajanam Buddhikanati Shevita Kavita Jambu Pala Shara Baksidam Umasudam Soga Vinasakaranam Nama Vikneshwaram Pada Pankajam Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.
Shall we bow our heads as we pray? Gracious God, we thank you for your love, for your grace, and for your mercy. As we are about to start in this session, Almighty God, we invite your Holy Spirit to direct and lead the proceedings. It has now you Thixo ke ofana nawe, Thixo luthando, uThixo ozizinto zonke. Ngamana ke ungasibuka ngobukho bakho kuba wena nguThixo ozizinto zonke ngamaxesha onke. For we pray all this in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ with many, many thanksgiving. Amen.
Koskakulu, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here for a social cohesion dialogue. And when the MEC, as we were organizing the dialogue, set strict directives that she is not going to attend a social cohesion dialogue that even at face value does not speak to social cohesion. That is why you would have seen us over the past few weeks working tirelessly to reach out to different groups, different minority groups in particular, so that they can be part of this program. That involved us going to the Indian temple, and thank you so much, Mr. Navan and Sheila, for opening your doors for us. It also involved us reaching out to the white community, reaching out to the Sotho community, reaching out to the colored and the Khoi and San community, and seeing all of you here has saved myself a job. Because I tell you now, if this did not happen, the Honorable MEC, the Honorable Deputy Minister would not have been here. And also our panelists, as we were inviting them, we sold them the dream of a rainbow and socially cohesive dialogue. And thank you so much for saving us and being here. The theme for the dialogue is, who are we? Exploring our South African identity 30 years into democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, the country is celebrating a milestone in the country's democracy as we are celebrating 30 years of democracy. It is particularly important that we reflect during this month as we commemorate the Human Rights Month. And so this gathering is meant to take stock of the work that has been done and what more needs to be done to really promote social cohesion and nation building. And so your involvement in this program will help shape how government organizes events, but also how are we as a people able to be under one roof, discuss issues, discuss challenges facing our South Africa, as this is a South Africa that belongs to all those who live in it. And so if you were wondering what this is about, this is where we are, nikwindawo right, nisemncwabeni onguwo. And so thank you so much. I am going to request the MMC for safety from the Nelson Mandela Metro Municipality, Mr. John Michel, to come and welcome us in the city. Thank you so much, sir.
Program Director, Deputy Minister of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Honorable Mafu, MEC for Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Honorable Consiwe, Facilitator of the Social Cohesion Dialogue, Kathy, our panelist, Dr. Brigalia Pam, chairperson, former chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Dr. John Kangi. It is also very humbling to have in our midst the only living alderman of this city. Can you please acknowledge Alderman Kesu Padachi? Thank you. Rochelle de Kock, editor of the Herald, officials, councillors, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. It is a privilege to welcome you on behalf of the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, its political leadership, and the organizers of this important provincial event. We are meeting here today a few hours before the commemoration of Human Rights Day, when the Sharpeville massacre in Gauteng and the Langa massacre a few kilometers from here in Kariga, formerly Uitenhage, are remembered. Although these two events played an important part in changing the country and the South African political landscape, the mass murder in Nelson Mandela Bay certainly does not receive the same prominence on the 21st as the massacre in Gauteng. It is very difficult to understand why this is the case. The Sharpeville massacre, where protesting anti-apartheid activists were killed, took place on the 21st of March, 1960. Yet, this event was so brutal that it captured the imagination of the world. However, the apartheid police made a crucial mistake when they attacked a peaceful funeral procession 30 years later in Kariga on the 21st of March, 1985. Since many were aware of this world commemorating the Sharpeville murders, the Langa massacre received global attention. It is therefore inconceivable that the South African SABC TV, and they are also present here this morning, insert this morning claim that only the Sharpeville atrocity is currently receiving international recognition. While we debate social cohesion in this country of our birth, we need to ask ourselves why so many divisions still exist in South Africa. It cannot be that those who lost their lives in Kariga are relegated to the back pages of history, while those who perished in Gauteng are globally celebrated as martyrs of the struggle for freedom of our country. Will the Eastern Cape Province and its residents continue to play a second fiddle due to its geographical location? I'm raising this question, ladies and gentlemen, as South Africa is made up of 9 provinces, and its residents continue to play second fiddle. And the narrative that is created, that some are more important than others, should be addressed today. Can we be cohesive and unified country if all its residents are not considered equally? In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is critical that we not only do introspection as a nation, but the Eastern Cape must stand up and claim its rightful place. The well-known defiance campaign was started in this province by the first democratically elected premier of the Eastern Cape, Ray Maslaba. There are so many pertinent examples, such as the street committees, a concept that former President Nelson Mandela came up with on Robben Island, was started in this region. I hope that you will have a fruitful debate, that it will set us on the right path. We lost too much ground after the euphoria of 1994, and we must come together in the interest of prosperity and goodwill. Thank you for having me. Inkosi kakhulu, and God bless. Baie baie dankie. Mooi loop.
Nkosi kakhulu, MMC. And of course, the MMC is raising the issue of the Langa massacre at a time when the provincial government is preparing to commemorate that massacre and the Human Rights Day in Kariyaga tomorrow. Thank you so much. And I think as well, this program presents an opportunity that as we look at us as a nation, we are also able to look at us as a province and where we see ourselves. And I think it is particularly rightfully that we have the legends from this province who have come to be part of this dialogue so that they can better guide us and advise on how best do we change the narrative of our beautiful province, the home of legends. Ladies and gentlemen, in our midst we have the Deputy Minister of the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, Honorable Notawe Mafu. Deputy Minister, thank you so much for joining us. The MEC for the Department of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture, MEC Nongeba Konsiwe. Thank you so much, MEC, for being with us. We have a member of the Provincial Legislature, Umamu Konza. Thank you so much, Honorable Konza, for gracing this dialogue. And of course, our distinguished panelists, who will be introduced by their beautiful facilitator, a legendary broadcaster, seasoned journalist, Ms. Kathy Mutlatlana. We also have the privilege to be joined by Ms. Julia from the IEC, Reverend Patrick Pasha from the Senior Eastern Cape Artists Association, the Senior Manager for PenSalb in the province, Dr. Chongolo. Thank you so much, Doc. Representatives from the Koyan San Leadership, Paramount Chief Crawford, Elder Persons Forum, the South African Council of Churches, Kanisa, the Hindu community, the MK veterans, and I know the MEC will be particularly happy with us that we have also extended an invitation from the MK veterans. Sihlambe Sinye Community Center, the Gqeberha Disability Council, the Chris Hani Writers Association, representatives from the PE College, Hollywood Bets, who are our partners for this program, Old Mutual, who are also partnering with the department in making sure that this dialogue is a success, Alfred Nzo Community Radio Station, the Office of the Premier, the Department of Education, the Department of Social Development, the HOD for the Department of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Mamusbongile Mpofu, the Pilandoda Movement, the FIFA referee and international referee amongst us, Ms. Akona Shiref Makalima, because we cannot begin to discuss social cohesion without talking sport. Thank you so much, Sheriff, for being part of us. And we might have missed you because we are not used to you. We are looking for Sheriff, who is going to be in a referee tracksuit attire. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will acknowledge our guests as they come in. Thank you so much for being part of the program. I will now allow the Honorable MEC, because this is not a day for speeches. This is a day where we listen to the panel discussion, take from the wisdom and lived experiences of our panelists, but also get an opportunity as attendees of the program to also share our lived experiences and how we would want our government to organize events, how we would want policies to be implemented so that they are able to really produce the social cohesion and nation building, and we begin to see the rainbow nation of Utata Nelson Mandela, not only when we are celebrating the Springbok Trophy, not only when we are celebrating some sporting event, but we begin to learn from each other's cultures in such gatherings, and we begin to see all of us resonating with every national event that is being planned. Because if we are being honest, there is no reason that when it is Youth Day, we are not able to see young people from other groups. And so we would want to see all that happening. It is you, the attendees of this dialogue, that will better advise the political leadership and government that is here on how best you think they can organize such programs so that we are always seeing this picture and a better picture moving forward. Honorable MEC, I will now hand over to you to give us the keynote address of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Program Director. Let me take this opportunity and greet the Honorable Deputy Minister, Molo Mphathiswa, Honorable Konza from our Provincial Legislature, our distinguished guests, the panelists. We have reserved their names for a later time, so not now. I want to keep you curious as to who they are. Our leader from Penslep, Kgalwazi, Manbulise, the communities that are here, different as you are, I want to greet you all. Akona, you are a special guest, and the officials from the department, the leadership from the different religions, I greet you all this morning. Indeed, my name is Nongceba Konziwe, deployed in this department, Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture. We're given very clear mandate when it came to the department that we must strengthen status leaves you. You can wake up a certain somebody called by a certain title, but your identity will remain with you until you die. So we want to explore those things. Who are we? As the country, and particularly the province, we find ourselves confronted by a number of social ills that you experience, that you all know, of poverty, crime, violence, inequality, teenage pregnancy. We are told by the MEC for Health that they become pregnant as early as 7 years old. But you don't get to know who has made the child pregnant. The focus only comes to the girl child. Alcohol and substance abuse. And as such, many parents that are concerned, they pray non-stop. Amen. Because of that. As we are gathered here, we want to address these issues. But we can only achieve and address them if we are coherent. That is why we want to strengthen social cohesion. We may be different in terms of race, color, creed, ethnicity, and all those age, but we are a people of this country. Therefore, whatever that affects us is something that needs us all, that needs all our minds to come together and address those, so as to address this. You know, about load shedding. Oh, okay. So that is why we have convened this dialogue. Secondly, is that this year, 2024, marks 30 years since we obtained democracy. And as such, we want to ensure that during this time, this period, yes, we inherited a number of disparities, inequality, and a lot of issues. Disparities according to race, creed, color, and ethnicity. But now we are here. So we want to take a step further to say, it is in our hands. How then do we address these issues, these disparities? At times, ourselves, we contribute because we are just selfish. You want something that satisfies you and not caring about what others are. So that is why we said, let's start with a dialogue. Have our panelists get the views from these different groups that are here so that we build on it. Whatever the department programs that the department is going to do will be centered around the views. We can have our own ideas, but without adding to our own ideas, the views, your views, as you are here, that is not going to address what we want to achieve. So we are gathered here then to share knowledge, to advise each other so that we build together one nation. We are South Africans. We have nowhere to go. So we are bound and compelled to unify, work together, and fight all the societies that is engulfed, or that this province is engulfed in. So I want you to feel free, relaxed, and contribute towards building this nation. We are a nation appointed by the Creator, our God. So we are here to stay, we are going nowhere, but let's deal with those and be honest. Because at times we can debate these issues. Some of us are ones that are perpetuating this. For instance, I can bet that people that are selling drugs to our children maybe are older than them. They are destroying the society so that you don't have future leaders. So we must talk about those things and be open about it, but we must say, how can we resolve all these issues? Because we have a panel discussion, I don't want to take much time because the gist of the program is in the discussions and listening to the views that we are going to collate and then form up a program going forward. Thank you so much for coming. We feel honored to be with you under one room. We hope that going forward we will not break this tie. We must build each other going forward. Thank you so much, Program Director.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the MEC of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture, directly responsible for promoting social cohesion and nation building in the province. And I think to summarize her speech, she has just created an open door to all government programs and her office. If you feel that you are not being part of programs of government, and she has really left the door open for all of us to enter. And MEC to make sure that this program was not about reaching out and getting people to only attend, but also in terms of participation. We have the Mighty Angels Choir and Son Dance Group who are going to be giving us an item. It's over to you. I see they are ready to take the stage. Over to you, Mighty Angels. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bantu Bam. Now for my personal people. Kuba ke mphathiswa kukho mlenze ungenadolo. I've since found a home in Malaba. We get the people of Malaba. Malaba. We know where Malaba is here in Gqeberha. My people there from the Indian community, they've come out in numbers. I am still trying to figure out how I am going to tell my reverend that I've since found a new home in Malaba. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for the panel discussion, I would like to call on the Kitanji Academy of Arts to give us an item. Thank you so much. Also, just so you know, we are live on the SABC's YouTube channel. and they are dipping into the program every now and again on SABC 404. Thank you. Wow. One thing I did not say is that the DDG from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, DDD Mandisa, is amongst us. And I think Noko, so far DDG, umuno ithethe into ethi saphi vyakho busi saphi vyakho ndiza sapha isivi yakho andithi kutheni, and And for a minute, pretend like the MEC and the HOD are not here. But DDG, I am ready. Kwabantu abathunywayo nge-29 kaMeyi. Titsho ukuthi ke nam torho ningakhe nindithume. I am ready. Andithethi anything MEC and HOD. I'm just saying I am ready. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to resume with our panelist discussion. I think we are just waiting for an adapter that is coming so that we are able to connect the lapel mics. But in the meanwhile, Uput Monde Fani will give us an item or two, and we will begin with the actual discussion and the actual meat of the program. Over to you, Uput Monde.
Hello, everybody. Igama lami nguMonde. So, can I give you an influence or the music that influenced us when we started out back when we were just young boys? Is that okay? Kitlile huwena lirana lady, kitlisite matata amuti waka. Remember that one, right? Kikile huwena lirana lady, kiklisite matata amuti waka. Yo, 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 yo. Yona, yona, yo. Muti waka watubeha. Tusenge, yo, 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 yo. Yona, yona, yo. Muti waka watubeha. Or maybe let's try this one. Waiting for your name to be called. Your body shaking with disbelief, 'cause you never, ever went through it before. Are you waiting for your name to be called? And your body shaking with disbelief, 'cause you never, never, ever went through it before. Now this used to be my favorite part because I'm Gazazi lyrics. Or maybe Angelina, Angelina, come on down, come on down. Hey, Angelina, Dayaza usazi nezinja. Hey, my sweet foreigner. You are my lady, you are my lady, my number one lady. You are my lady, oh, oh, I love you. And yes, I need you, Angelina, Angelina. Or maybe we'll try this. Go. Watching you every day of my life. Ooh. keep telling you how you broke my heart, and you keeping me holding on too long, too long. Now let me tell you one more time, hey, you're gonna burn out all my love. You're gonna burn out all my love. You're gonna burn out all my love. Tonight I'm gonna hold you until you cry. I will hold you till you cry for more. I will hold you till you cry for more. Yeah, yeah. Tonight, I'm gonna hold you until you cry. Hold you till you cry for more. We'll hold you till you cry for more. Oh, yeah. Nice, thank you so much. So that's how the whole journey for us started, ne? Those born in the late 70s and in the early 80s going forward. So this is how the journey started for us. And then I learned how to write my own music, and this is what I came up with. Dictelo Tetinyani Brass, layout being an line. Before I met her, Benny messed my teeth down. Then again on the pool, said that saying you, hey, Funisija Epunya Mendi, Chini, but it Kulile, Yagi Yapile, song is from Mama Sia Kuye, Chini, but it Kulile, Yagi Yapile, song is from Mama Sia Kuye. She found me, she made a man of me, and she turned my life around. She found me, darling, yeah. She made a man of me, and she turned my life around. Let's Ben Papa Town Fafanya, Ben Kangela, Wongusaba, Funa Indomazana, as on the time, I'm telling for the time, Ben Papa Town Fafanya, Ben Kangela, Wongusaba, Funa Indomazana, as on the time that she found me. She made a man of me, and she turned my life around. She found me. She made a man of me, and she turned my life around. Yeah. Baby, you're the light in my life. Yeah, you're my shining star, straight from above. Yeah. She found me. She made a man of me. Oh, my baby turned my life around. She found me. Yeah. She made a man of me. She turned my life around. Turn my life around and round, yeah. She found me, yeah. Oh, she made a man of me. Turn my life around. Turn my life around, yeah. Da 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 da. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Good afternoon, everybody. Sawubona. Ndiyabulela. Realocha. Dumelang. Lekai. Regona. So at least there's one petty person somewhere at the back. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. We're here to have a conversation. Why is everybody so tense? Is the way that we are tense a reflection of where we are as a country today? Is the tension a reflection of the state of affairs? Something like that. So we're afraid to even say hi to each other. We can still say hi. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. That's a lot better. Thank you so much. My name is Kathy Mutlatlana, and it's an honor for me to be here today to facilitate this timely conversation. Timely because I think as a South African, and if you live in this country, you can feel the restlessness, right? Can you feel the restlessness? Am I the only one who feels it? That there is something that is happening in our country that is not the way that it's supposed to be. There is just, awko right, man. There's something that just is not where we would have wanted it to be. It's not what we thought it would be. That is the restlessness that I'm talking about. And I hope that as we have this conversation today, there is an honesty that we can bring to it. Because if we're not honest about what the state of us as a nation is, then we don't give ourselves the opportunity to fix the problem. And I think we're all here because we want to be able to fix the problem. So my expectation for this conversation that we'll have is that we are all honest with each other. When you are sick, you take medicine. And sometimes the medicine you take does not taste nice. But it's not the taste that heals you, it's the content that heals you. So as we have this conversation with honesty, it might not be nice that we hear some of the things that will be said, that we say some of the things that will be said, but hopefully it will be the medicine that we need to heal the condition of our society. One of my favorite leaders, I would say, is a young woman by the name of Nomfundo Mogapi. And she specializes in the area of violence and how violence impacts societies. If we talk about 30 years of our democracy, we cannot look today without talking about the violence of democracy, right? That it was built on a history of violence. And what we have done since then is try to forget, right? How often do you hear that? We must forget, we must move on. And yet, it is within the forgetting and the moving on of that violence that people are festering, because the reality is we are not okay as a society. And what she says is, when we have broken people in broken societies, what happens when you're hurt? If you cut your toe, you bleed, right? And she says what happens is people, that when we are broken and we don't attend to our wounds, we bleed on everybody. And I wonder how much of where we are is because we as a society are bleeding on each other, because we have not attended to our own wounds that have been inflicted, whether it's pre-democracy, whether it's post-democracy. The point is that we are hurt. So it's an honor for me to introduce our panelists today, who are really going to be the ones who share their insights into this conversation. Before I do that though, I want us to please give a round of applause to our wonderful MC, Busi. I think she's doing a fantastic job. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to get up in front of an auditorium full of people and be as energetic as she is. So I really think you're doing such a great job, Busi. Keep it up, and very well done. So let me introduce then our speakers for the conversation today. And I must stress that it is in no particular order, right? All protocol observed. So after this, I don't want stories. But on that note, let me begin by inviting onto stage the Deputy Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Ms. Nokawe Mafu. She started her professional career as a nurse in East London, the Eastern Cape, and later became a councillor in Ekurhuleni. Ms. Mafu was then deployed to serve as a Member of Parliament in the National Assembly from May 2014 until May 2019, where she was elected as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements during the 5th Parliament. She was also a member of the Ad Hoc Committee on Funding of Political Parties from June 2017 until May 2019. Thank you for your time this morning, Deputy Minister. Next onto the stage, I would like to invite Dr., or should I say Sir John Kangi. He is Dr. Kangi is a director, actor, playwright, born in New Brighton, right here in Gqeberha, and started his career in the same city with the Serpent Players Drama Group. He later joined the Market Theatre in Johannesburg. He has a long list of accolades, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2 pages long, and they're just talking about everything he has accomplished. Every paragraph, it's awards, it's doctorates, it's honorary doctorates. So there's really a lot to get through. But I think for me to mention, he has won a Tony. He's won a Tony Award. He's been named as the best performing artist of the 20th century by Tribute Magazine's Black Business Forum. He's been honored with the Order of Ikamanga in silver in recognition for his contribution to the struggle for a free South Africa. So you can give him a final round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Kangi. Our next guest is really somebody that needs no introduction. We talk about 30 years of democracy. Where would we be if our elections had gone wrong? Where would we be if those entrusted with administering the elections had not done their job? Dr. Brigalia Bam was born on the 2nd of January. She's formally educated in South Africa and abroad, specialized in teaching and social work. Between 1999 and 2011, Dr. Bam was the chairperson of the IEC. She safely guided South Africa through a series of general and municipal elections, Between 1994 and 1998, she also served as the Secretary General of the South African Council of Churches. She's also been the Program Director for the African Regional Secretary and the Coordinator of the Women Workers Program for the International Food and Allied Workers Association. Among the many positions she has held, Dr. Bam has also been a member of the AU panel of the Wise for Africa, and she was proposed for that seat by the South African government. Dr. Bam, it's a pleasure to have you here today. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to introduce somebody who is really no stranger to Gqeberha and to this crowd. Rochelle de Kock is the editor of the Herald newspaper and Herald Live, based in Nelson Mandela Bay. She's been a journalist for 16 years with a keen interest in local government politics and using the power of the pen to effect change and touch lives. Rochelle has played a strategic leadership role in the political coverage on news platforms over the years. She is an Eastern Cape convener of the South African National Editors Forum. Let's give Rochelle a warm round of applause. Thank you all for being here and for being part of this conversation that we're about to have. The reality is, I don't think it's necessarily an easy conversation. If we were perhaps having this conversation in 1994 and we ask, who are we as South Africans? Many people would have said, the Rainbow Nation. I grew up going to a former Model C school, and what we were told South Africa is that we are a rainbow nation. But 30 years into democracy, you mentioned the word rainbow nation, and people don't understand what you're talking about. They say, what rainbow? Where is the rainbow? We are not a rainbow. We're not pink, we're not purple. What are we? Who are we? So I'm going to begin just with getting the reflections of our panel. And Dr. Kangi, because you're closest to me, I don't know why you chose. So I'm going to have to pick on you first. As we explore our identity, as we explore who we are, what are your reflections on South Africa 30 years on? Who do you say we are?
Hello, everybody. Okay. I was born in this town, in New Brighton, 81 years ago. I know this town. I know the Eastern Cape. I know the Cape Province. Even before 1948, when they began to carve this beautiful land and group us in different little structures, forgetting in doing so the first people, because they did not understand them. They found them in bushes of the Kalahari and on the borders of Namibia, and they wished that they disappear forever. They thought that the sand will blow them away and we won't have to deal with them. Even before they carved the country into various nationalities, little groups called Ciskei, called Transkei, called Venda, called Bophuthatswana. This is done without the consult of the landowners. We find ourselves defining ourselves in the identity we were given. I was told I am Xhosa. Without explaining how did I become Xhosa. These things then further divided us in political groups. And these political groups, gambling and jostling for positions, began also to toe the line of the colonial boundaries and divisions. We speak languages that are interrelated as a dialect, and when it changes, you are called different. So when I look in the mirror, Kathy, I'm totally confused. I just want to know, who the hell am I? The situation is in 1949, when the Boers got into power, they immediately established the Broederbond. The Broederbond was not a political organization. It was a cultural organization with one mandate, bring the Afrikaner to the fore, rewrite the history that any other person came to this country very late, that the Afrikaners were here long before us. And thus we continued in that education. Sometimes when I think we had such a wonderful time when we had Nelson Mandela as our president, who told us, I'm only going to serve for 5 years. I can't do more. There's so much I don't know what's going on. And we didn't listen. When you buy a country that is divided, a people that is divided, you fix that first before you begin to even to think of governing. We should have sat down. Apartheid was legislated. It didn't happen because we were wishing it or not wishing it. How then do we change a country without legislating the change? That it becomes illegal not to identify with me in my own country. If we talk about social cohesion, how can we talk about social cohesion? With who? Only my neighbors in my area? What do I do with the Tswana people? I don't meet them at all because they're so far from me. What do I do with the Zulu, with the Tsonga, with the San, with the Khoisan? Just the other day, I was with Oma Katrina Eso, the only remaining legends that still speaks the Ngu language. And we are trying to save that language because it is part of who we are. So until we do that, my beautiful friends, MEC and Deputy, it will not change until we pass laws that making those that stand on the way of our change illegal criminals that are not accepting the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Kani. Dr. Bam, your reflections. Who are we? What is your answer to that?
Permit me to really make a comment before I attempt to answer that very difficult question. And the comment I would like to make is that I'm getting a feeling that you have started a process for all the challenges that we are facing. I have been part of social cohesion programs for many years. I'm ashamed to tell you, I was in the first group that in fact thought of the title social cohesion. And this is an amazing group, and I would like to congratulate the planners of this group. I have not been to any one where it's so diverse, the people in the room, and I want to congratulate you. Because the solution is not going to come from the government. Yes. And that is what I believe in. The second comment I would like to make is the methodology of a dialogue. Normally we make a lot of speeches, many speeches, and we don't have time or a method of listening to each other, learning from each other, and finding all of us a solution to the problem. And what we did, when you say, who are we are people who were so excited in 1994 and prior to 1994. And I would like just to say, prior to 1994, especially the years after Mandela left prison in 1990, we were together trying to talk about the future of South Africa. We were together trying to discover each other across our political alignments and any other kind of titles and other things we had. And we were into that tradition of consultation, a tradition of involving others. And the mistake we did, before I say who we are, we thought the government, now that for the first time we have the government, let them do everything for us. Let the government think for us. Let the government find houses for us. Let the government come to our homes to introduce the values of families. Let the government manage the schools for us. And let the government set, and that is what I publicly admitting we did. And so as communities, we didn't have the space. As communities, because we said the government is there, so the activity, which is important, as I say when we go, the activities of communities and the activities of what was called NGOs and the activities of the churches, for those of us who come from that, the activities where I worked and many others I would like to comment here, that is the Electoral Commissions and the activities of the SABC that were involving more people on talking, on doing things, all were left to government. And so now we are finding ourselves in this situation that we have, I don't know the word in English because I don't want to say abantwana bethu sabayeka, but I think you drifted away. Maybe it is to blame from responsibilities of trying to be a citizen. So the government will help us to mingle. The government will help us, that is what we say. And so we lost out. And so we are no more the way the people used to be. I had an opportunity, because of my age, to work with your grandparents. I had an opportunity to work with the old parties here that were here at the time. I had an opportunity to work with churches, and I also had an opportunity to work with political parties. And so when I talk about this part of the world, and the reason I came, but the reason I came, I said, hey, they're going to get it right. Yes. So really, before I answer, is to say, I think this beginning is a way for all of us as a collective to try and get it right. Because the involvement of people, the respect for other people, and the care for other people, we have to retrieve and find those values. Those were the values of your parents and your grandparents. In the midst of all that we're going through, prior to apartheid, and during the long years from 1948 to 1994, we survived. And we survived. And when I talk of survival, I'm not talking of just eating food. We kept our personhood. And so that's really what the debate is all about. We have to find, as a collective, songe, the way forward.
Thank you for that, Dr. Bam. And I know Dr. Bam says, I worked with your parents and your grandparents. And you might not believe her because she looks so young. But she's turning 91 years old this year. So when she says that, she really means it. And we appreciate the fact that you made the effort, Mama. Ms. Mafu, who are we? Your reflections on today's question.
Thank you very much, Katie. My name is Dr. Mafu, born in Kangi village in East London. At a time that the country was going through turmoil. I was born probably a few years after the political parties were banned. I was born at a time when, probably 10 years before I was born, there was a Congress of the People in Cape Town which took a decision, amongst others, that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Fast forward, as Dr. Kangi and Mamukrika have reflected, the euphoria of 1994 and probably 1990 when Madiba was released, when we all believed that South Africa is really starting to belong to all who live in it. And the excitement that we had when we went to the polls in 1994 to ultimately claim that South Africa is now going to belong to all who live in it. Fast forward, Madiba says we are a rainbow nation. And he makes a statement that says, never and never again shall a South African feel that they do not belong in South Africa. Government comes in, and remember, Black South Africans and minorities are starting to embrace the fact that we are now South Africans. We can lay a claim to the country of our birth. But what we need to grapple with right now is the fact that as we celebrate 30 years of democracy, the euphoria that we believed in 30 years ago, is it what we thought it is? Or do we need to do more to make it a living dream for all of us? What we need to agree is that there wouldn't have been a need for government to have a program called social cohesion if we were a cohesive nation. The fact that the government felt that there must be a program on social cohesion, the sixth administration felt that the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture must be given a responsibility through the National Development Plan to make sure that the country becomes social cohesive and that nation building becomes part of the programs that we do. Why was government feeling that there is a need for that? Because as we were trying to build on who we are, there was confusion in the process because people were starting not to understand exactly what this democracy is all about. Democracy is about inclusivity. Democracy is about belonging. Democracy is about feeling that I am what I am and this is my country. We all know that as we celebrate 30 years, we still see racism rearing its head out, we still feel inequality being part of our lives. We still feel poverty being part of us. The democracy that we thought that is going to happen, that all of us here, that we thought 1994 is bringing us to ilizwe lobusi namasi, that we have arrived, that some of us thought that we don't need to work for democracy, it will just come to us. Now the realization 30 years into democracy is that there is more that we need to do. There is more that we need to build this country. The question, therefore, that Kathy is asking, who we are, needs us to reflect and individually and collectively say open, are we who we thought we are? Are we the real South Africans that we thought we have arrived? The truth of the matter is that as we celebrate national days, Kathy, slowly we see other national groups not feeling being part of South Africa. National days become black. You don't see whites, you don't see colors, you don't see Indians when we celebrate national days. In 1994, 1995, 1996, yes, the Rainbow Nation was there, but it seems to be disappearing. What is it that we need to do to actually claim who we are and be able to divide ukuthi sibobani? Ngiyabuleka.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Ms. Mafu. Rochelle, you, as part of your job, have to get a sense of what is the mood in the country. What is it that people are saying about the state of affairs? So, as you answer this question, I would also want you to answer it from the perspective of what you are seeing through the people that you, through your newsroom, speak to on a day-to-day basis. What do South Africans say they are? Who are we?
Okay, thank you. It's on. Let me first start by saying what a complete honor it is to share the stage with such legends that are sitting here on my right. Kathy, you know, as I was listening to all the speakers respond, is the sound fine? Okay. The first thing that came to mind is I feel like we are a nation that has lost its way. Apologies, I hope that's better. Oh, much better. We are a nation that has lost its way. We see it daily in the coverage that we do. Our people are angry. Our people feel disillusioned. Our people feel that they were sold a lie. And I want to say that, yes, that is partly government that is to blame, but I think also, and as Dr. Bam mentioned, we kind of became, we left it to government to make all the decisions and we look to government to do everything for us. And I think that is perhaps where the issue lies. But I would say we are an angry government. People don't want to vote. We see it in the streets every morning. Just this morning, you know, I couldn't pick up one of our helpers to come because there's protesting. People are angry, they're destructive, they feel as if we've been let down. This beautiful city, and I don't know, Kathy, if you've had an opportunity, and even Dr. Kanye, I would really hope that you know, to get your reflections on this. This beautiful city, we can't walk around here anymore because the vandals have taken over, crime has taken over. It's no longer safe to walk, in Strand Street or even in Governor Mbeki Avenue here. And that is because the crime is at astronomical levels. People are afraid. We are so afraid living in our houses. You would have heard the shocking statistics about Nelson Mandela Bay being the murder capital of South Africa. And we see that every single day in our front pages about how crime has taken over our city. And this is how, who we have become as South Africans. And we've seen that now suddenly there's political parties that, will take advantage of that and further creating divisions along racial lines. And that's not something that we need, but unfortunately, they are preying on people who are feeling disillusioned, who are feeling left out by the government of the day. So I think we are a nation that has lost its way.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Rochelle. My panelist, I have heard the reflections, but the question has not been answered. Was the question answered? Do you have an answer to the question? I see some hands going up. I'm going to take some contributions in a moment. But the question has not been answered. Dr. Kangi came the closest to it. In the end, he says, I'm confused. So who are we? I'm confused. Also suggests, I don't know who we are. So I'm going to give everybody a second bite at the cherry. We have one simple question to answer. The question is, who are we? What is our collective identity as a country? If we say that this idea, this notion of a rainbow nation does not best describe who we are, then what sits in its place? It can't be nothing, because then we're going to end up with everything. So, who are we? What is our South African identity?
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. What we did was to draw on a canvas the background and the landscape in which we are now standing. We're trying to look beyond the rainbow. I am an African. I have no doubt in the center of my soul that I am the inheritor designed by my ancestors to be the owner of this land. I only speak for myself. If you have the same feeling, God bless us all. Thabo Mbeki came very close to it when we accepted the Constitution in 1995, when he says, I owe to the Khoi, to the San, to the Xhosas, to Magqunukhwebe. He wanted to take a collective view in who we are. What we're doing is the fact that I'm a writer. I speak to the ancestors when I sleep, and they end up being a play. And when I write the play, I represent the voices. When I walk down the streets of New York, around the world, I am in the majority because I'm followed by 3,000 ancestors all the time. So I know who I am. I'm not confused. I know who I am. But the problem that we face is that we took it for granted that the divisions that were created by the previous apartheid government will heal themselves on their own. It doesn't happen like that. We need to be active. We need a plan to execute. When there's a war, there are two sides. The side that claims victory and wins, that's the side that writes the history. Then when the war continues, and the side that was fighting the struggle for liberation, like the people of Palestine against the racist the Zionists. Therefore, when then that war ends, Kathy, those that won forget that those that lost begin their struggle to distort the gains of the ones that have won. So when we speak in a collective sense, echoing the structures that exist already. We try to change South Africa within the confines and the borders. We found it. We have to wipe out these borders. We have to say there are no people that are outside. We're all South Africans. We are Africans. So when we get that right, then we speak with great dignity and confidence that I'm an African. If it doesn't sit well with you, I'm sorry. And my claiming us as Africans does not exclude anyone. Anyone. I went to a gathering in New York, and it was called For Africans Only. And there were some white people here in this meeting room. And I was thinking, we're in the wrong place. There can't be white people around me when we're talking African. And this lady came over and says, John Kani, I'm from Egypt. I thought she's right, she's African. And I met another white lady who said, I'm Kenyan. She's right. And that is the national identity of a people that cannot be negotiated. That is the rule and the law of life and of nature. So if we're going to move forward, we've got to get rid of these little divisions, these little boundaries and borders. We've got to stand up as a people. A people. And when we look as people, there are 5 fingers that they're not the same. This might need help, that one needs help, that one needs help to bring together to be what we called power. So I am an African. So I have no confusion. It's only in the mirror when I see my lies. In the mirror when I see when I should have spoken, I shut up. I saw my neighbor slap his wife and I didn't open my mouth because I called it not my business. I saw people being moved from one area to another area because the tourists have bought that area for tourism and wildlife exploration. I shut up because it didn't concern me. It is my silence that is dangerous. It is my silence that allows to be perpetuated the division among the African people of this southern continent. We need to be heard now. Speak when it's happening now, then we will address it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Kani. Dr. Bam, second bite at the cherry. Who are we? What is our collective national identity?
What is our what? And if an guess,
A bit closer. Okay. What is our national identity? Our collective national identity.
I'm struggling a little bit because there are just few things actually that give us national identity. Everybody must have an ID. If you want to vote, you must be in the voters' roll. So now we all feel we are the same people. And you are free to form a party if you like. So we've ended up with thousands of parties in Kosiam. It's a country where you are free to write what you want. So we are, our main identity is that we have all these wonderful freedoms. And what we have that gives us maybe a very sophisticated identity is that they tell us we have the best constitution in the world. Maybe that gives us then a special kind of an identity. But having said that and meaning it, we are people of many, many, many nations. I don't have the word nations, because there's no way in which I can pretend. I live in Pretoria, and so I never thought I would live in Pretoria, because those of my generation, at some point you couldn't even walk in the pavement in Pretoria. Now, I live there, and all my neighbors are all not only white people, they are all Afrikaners. That's fine, so we are all South Africans. But I am embarrassed every week where I live, because there are two black men. One sleeps and hides at night so that he can empty the bin, because he is very hungry. And now, yes, I'm very proud to be a free African. I'm middle class. I have a nice house, not as nice as Aba Baby Mali, but a normal house. There's something isn't working on my identity. Yes, I know I'm an African, and I'm proud. But how come that now in this country where we're Africans, we are labeled in the whole world as the country that has the biggest gap between the rich and the poor? Before us, it was Brazil. But now, if you want a country that has a gap, and I begin to say, now what is it that we are proud about? Apparently, South Africa has been put on these complicated things they do in technology of finding the most famous people of centuries. And apparently, with this big study they were doing, is that Mandela is still on that. Maybe that's what makes us proud, and our identity, that we have produced in our struggle of years of colonialism, of apartheid, a human being considered by the world for now to be a leading human being in the world in which we live. That probably is what the identity we should be proud about. But this, it's too difficult. I can't feel anything special about me, because I don't even have a country that is a model of our identity. Some of us have had the chance to live in other countries, to travel in other countries. So I don't know. I think we are a group of people, some very kind, others very, very selfish. We are a group of people who are the most privileged people in living in one of the richest countries with wonderful weather. Don't worry that it's so hot now. I'm not thinking about the problem. But if you consider that where you have the sun and the beautiful hills and the mountains, honestly, truly, this country is something else. The winters are not like the winters of Europe and Russia. Yes, we are good. Our summers are not like the summers of Sudan. So there are many things like that. And of course, we have all the minerals. But also being proud, I don't even know how gold looks like. And I'm one of the many that is space. I've been to a mine, but not deep enough. So I can't answer this question. I really cannot answer. Our identity is, and we're people of many colors, yes, that's fine. But we're people of many values. We are people who are very concerned. Maybe I don't want to exaggerate about I, me, myself, and my children. I don't know. We try. We are people who are so afraid of each other. I am even ashamed because I'm the only one who's the oldest here. I used to travel at night alone. Yes, okay, you are also the eldest, okay. Travel alone, come into my home, in and out. And now I am afraid. I come from the Transkei. And my home is in a farm, village. I am afraid today at my age to go to my home. It is in the Eastern Cape in a village farm because I'm afraid of being assaulted where I was born and grew up. So, El Kaya Lam Dizidlangalo, what is it that I can't even go home? Funeka ubandiya ekhaya. They must quickly make sure that imoto, abantwana bangayiboni. The first thing when they come, you hide the car. What kind of life is that? Because we're afraid the kids might see that. And I'm supposed to be celebrating. And then I'm at my gate in Pretoria, and I'm too scared, and I'm looking. I mean, there's something wrong. I'm not only talking about me only. So this identity, I can't answer. If I say we are people of many nations, maybe we are people of many different attitudes and different types of anger and different types of selfishness, where there are people who have millions stealing from those who can't even afford a meal. There is something about our identity I cannot believe.
Thank you for that, Dr. Bam. Ms. Mafu, I'm going to give you a chance to have another try at the question. So far we have I am an African as a collective identity, and then I think Dr. Bam is intentionally pushing us into a space of the gray, the space where I want to say I'm an African because I think it's the right thing to say, but the reality is that there may be things I'm grappling with and I need to get into whatever this is before I can proudly say I'm an African and mean it.
Thanks, Kathy. I think what you are trying to do, Kathy, you want us to unravel on what defines us, what makes us who we are. And I think it's not an easy question. But you would remember that we allowed people to define us at some point. And they said we are a rainbow nation. And we were excited about being called a rainbow nation. But I think what then we did not do or did not realize is the fact that to sustain that rainbow nation, we had to be active citizens to make sure that the rainbow nation lives on. We lived in the bubble of being defined a rainbow nation, and we did not become active, both as nations, different races, who were then defined collectively as a rainbow nation. And as we moved on, we were also defined as a people of Ubuntu. We were called that we are a nation of Ubuntu. Because I think, because everybody who looked at us saw this nation that was so promising, this nation of Mandela, that through it all, through the difficulties that we've been through the apartheid that we have lived, but we got into democracy without dropping blood, in a sense. There was no war. And everybody was watching us and celebrating us. And in the sense, we also then wanted to confine ourselves into what people defined us, without now wanting to come out and be who we are. And so that as these different nations, we are able to deal with us individually so that we become one. We stayed in the bubble. Unfortunately, the bubble burst. And when the bubble burst, we realize that we are still Amaxhosa, we are still Amandiya, we are still Abelungu, because we were not active in making sure that we become a cohesive nation. Just to give you an example, Kathy, when you go into a country, you go abroad, and you meet different people, and one of the things that they would do, you listen to them explaining who they are. You go to Brazil, you go to China, it doesn't matter who the person you meet, but you come to understand that they speak in one voice in explaining who they are. Take South Africans and take them to Brazil or China and ask them to explain who they are. You are going to get 5 different explanations. We don't have something that defines us as a nation. So the question you are asking is a very important question, but it's a question that is work in progress, in a sense, because our identity is individualistic. Our identity is not an identity that describes a nation. Our identity is not an identity that when I describe myself, Miss Smith can see herself in me. Mr. Naidu can see himself in me. My explanation is a Miss Mafu. Mr. Naidu's explanation of who he is different from what my explanation is. And that is what we need to work on, because if we really want to build a country that our children are going to be proud of, we need to have an identity of inclusivity, an identity of everybody feels I belong. So the question that you are asking is work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Mafu. Rochelle?
It is a tough question. It is indeed a tough question. And I think a lot of the speakers have sort of touched on, what my thought process is. And I started to think about the fact that whenever you speak to people who are not from South Africa and they choose to live here, and you're like, why would you choose to live here in South Africa? And it's not, it's the mountains or whatever. It's the people. And I think we are a nation that we're broken, but we are so beautiful in our diversity. And I almost tend to disagree a little bit with the Deputy Minister to say, I don't know if we need one definition as to who we are, because we are so different. We all have our own separate, concepts, of who we are and what we identify with. And I don't know if we necessarily it has to be one definition. I don't think so.
Thank you to our panelists for their contribution to this question. I want to find out from you now, who are we? are we? What is our collective, not our individual? What is our collective identity as a country? I think we are all aware of the things that divide us. But we don't often talk about the things that divide us. We know that we're divided, right? We know that you go to a certain area, there are only black people there. You go to another area, oh, that's the colored area. Oh, that's the white area. That's what it is. We know that apartheid special planning led to that. But it's 30 years after democracy. Nobody's going to arrest you as a black person if you go and have lunch in the colored area. And yet, we still maintain a lot of that us and them. So, as the people who live in this country every day, who do we say that we are collectively? The question is clear, right? I'm going to ask that everybody who's got their hands up, we've got a roving microphone. All right, I've seen the hands in this round. You can put them down. I've noted them. We'll work our way to the back. I'm going to ask you, please keep it short and sweet. No long monologues, otherwise I will interject. Begin by introducing yourself. You can tell us your name, your surname, and maybe even the organization you represent if you're here on behalf of an organization or specific community. We'll start on the right-hand side of the room, my left-hand side. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, everyone that is here. Kathy, my name is Christian Martin. I see myself as a Koi and Son activist. I really agree with the panelists and Ms. Mafu in the sense of it's a difficult question. And the question is worse when I have to speak as a Koi son and looking at your narrative in which you want to keep us. Number one, Kathy, we spoke about the Rainbow Nation. And I want to go back to your 30 years when this beautiful sun set on all the drops, the water drops to form the rainbow. And then I want to say, the Koi and Sun drop was never part of it, for this beautiful sun of Africa to fall upon it. I want to go further and say, Kathy, when it comes to the African side, still yet 30 years ago from here, we as the Koi and Sun are not recognized as Africans as we should be. I want to remind ourselves, Kathy, as I land, I want to remind ourselves, every African, and when I say every African, remember, I'm not recognized as one, although I am one. If you look at every African, here is my chief. And many of ourselves, as Mr. Kangi have said, you can go through and I might pronounce it wrong, Kathy, to say, you can go through the due course of any African. You will hear about Abattoir, about the Koi and Sun being formed part of their 3,000 years of lineage. Kathy, after 30 years, I'm not recognized as an African. I was the one that welcomed the Europeans from the sea and welcomed the Africans from the north. And here today, my conundrum is, I'm not recognized by those that have the powers to recognize me. I know who I am. I am an African. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Martins. Let's go just a couple of rows behind him, third row behind him.
Manibulele Kathy. And ndifuna ukuthetha isiXhosa because benge dabane thamsanqa lokuya pha University of.
All right, just hang on please for me, ma'am. We're going to please try and boost that volume. We're struggling to hear her.
Mandithetha isiXhosa because benge ndane thamsanqa lokuya pha University of Northwest.
Please also try and hold the mic just closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Just closer to your mouth, Mama.
Bendike ndane thamsanqa lokuya pha University of Northwest. Phayana akucompromise wakuthethwa iAfrikaans. If Africans awuyiva unikwa into ufake ezindlebeni because they are prepared to babathethe ulwimi lwabo abo bantu baphayana. Mna into endingayithetha mna ndizawuthetha kwi-perspective ye-layman. Laa mntu uzihlalele phaa ezilalini because ndingumama wasezilalini. Igama lam ndinguNonceba Thuntulwana wase-Alfred Nzondi phaa eMount Elifu. ndihlala ezilalini. Uba uyasibuza basingobani as a country, we're a divided nation. Sohlukene, kukhona abatyebe kakhulu, kukhona abahlupheke kakhulu, kukhona abaprivilege kakhulu, kukhona abangenanto. We're a bleeding nation. Siyoyika emizini yethu. Siyoyika because crime ingapha yakoqonda. Ndangendabuza ke ngenye imini sipa University of Fort Hare. Ndibuza into bana i-influx yabantu abangaka apha eSouth Africa kutheni ingakontrolwa, because if ibicontrolwa mhlambe icrime ngeyilesa. Sinabantwana who are graduates badla drugs abantwana ziza nabane drugs, and asiboni effort uhulumende ayithathayo. I-effort ndithi effort mna uba athi wipe out, siyabaza abantu abathengisa drugs. We know the drug lords, but immediately you raise your voice, uthethe ngomuntu othengisa drugs, uzawutshiselwa umzi wakho. Because kaloku yi-syndicate lento, you cannot run away from the fact that yi-syndicate into ye-drugs apha South Africa. See, a nation that is so disappointed. See, disappointed with leaders zethu, I don't want to lie. Because sibabeka kwi-positions of power and then they divorce themselves from us. Umuntu mhlamba asuke pha ezilalini simbeke ayohlala edolophini umuntu because uzifilisha into oba doesn't belong to ikule level sikuyo thina pha ezilalini.
All right.
Ukhona leader eke yasi-describe kakuhle, and I felt very bad. Ndeva kakubi ethi was the lowest scam ibiveli lapha eTV. Ethi was the lowest scam. It means usithathe wasibeka to this level because i-level of poverty apha eSouth Africa iphezulu. Sifuna ukubona uhulumende uba wenza ntoni ngezi drugs zingaka. Uyazi, when I approach iDurban kukhona ibridge pha ekuhlala khona abantwana bethu abazukulwana bethu bahlala phayana because they are hooked with drugs and uhulumende doesn't make any effort. Sibona abantu benamatyala apha. Njengoba abantu benamatyala nje, there's no consequence management in our country.
All right.
Umuntu ufree uba makenze nantoni because uyazi ba if umoshile mhlambi kulo masipala uzawuthathwa ayobekwa komnye umasipala. We are very angry as a country. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Yes, I will. I will in a moment. Yes, ma'am. Please, if we can get the microphone to her.
Can we talk about what it means to be a South African when I don't even know who I am? Igama lam ndinguphumeza Macwili, ndingowasengqushwa ndisikaya amathole. Ingqushwa iPhedi, ndisuka kwilali ekuthiwa yiWoolridge. Woolridge is a village that was formed by Colonel Woolridge under Stutterheim in 1852. I don't know anything beyond that. That's all I know. So, Dr. Umakhulu Bam talk about values and us being divided. Where do we start talking about values when we live in such poverty? Poverty has its own values. I live in a village with a high, that's not even important, but my point is that we don't even read about who we are in our school textbooks. It's not even there. I don't even know, I can't even go beyond that. How do I even talk? I'm a black woman who lives on, Doctor speaks also about government dependency. How then do I not depend on the government? My town, Moshwa, is named after a Khoi name means fertile land. I can't grow anything, I don't even have water. What unites us, also I think we should stop to that. What we see in this day and age is people coming to our doors selling Jesus, and we take our monies instead of building schools. We don't even educate our kids. Teach us about how to build banks instead of churches. Teach us how to things that will unite to build infrastructure. We ban infrastructure. I'm a victim of police brutality. I don't speak to government. I live in a village. I have to wait for my 350 on the 20-something. That's my predicament. But how do we start talking about, is that even a question? How do I become to be patriotic when I'm not even listened to? Is that those things some of these questions, they just go above our heads, and we want to be involved, but where do we start?
Sure.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that reflection. And I think what's coming out of it so far, if you can please just go towards, just behind you. I'm still on the right hand of the room. Yes, there's a gentleman you're standing next to. Yes, thank you so much. The sense that I'm getting so far from the experiences that have been shared is people highlighting the social circumstances in which South African communities are living in. And I don't know if this is what is being said collectively, but is it to suggest that we cannot answer the question of who we are right now because we're so busy dealing with just getting through the day? That you're asking me who I am, I'm hungry, I am poor, I need work, I need to go to school. The question that you're asking me is not one that I am prepared to sit and think about, because I've actually got bigger problems to deal with than dealing with who I am. That's just the sense, part of the sense I'm getting. Yes, sir.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, firstly, I'm just greeting in the Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, God's mercy and blessings be upon you. When it comes to identity, I know who I am. As a South African, we wear many different faces. I can represent myself in different ways. I can say that, yes, I'm an artist, or I can stand here and say, okay, I represent, I'm the Deputy Provincial High Commissioner of the Nama Royal House, Khoisan people as well, and a whole bunch of other things. I'm actually happy that sports, recreation, arts and culture is here today, and that government has given that mandate to sports, arts and culture, because it is a powerful medium to get certain messages across. As a nation, I'm just standing here, I'm not putting any of those titles in front, I'm standing here as a South African with a very, very diverse family background. African, Afrikaner, Canadian, Madagascan, Arab. That's what I'm made out of, a whole fruit salad, and I know who I am as a South African. We talk constantly about Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu has been something that's been in the theoretical spaces. And we as a people collectively, we were supposed to move that and make it an applied lifestyle. Ubuntu, Ukhwa in Arabic, brotherhood, unity, humanness, is something that was a responsibility on all South Africans. That's basically what our identity was supposed to stand on. We have diverse cultures, diverse religions. Whether you're an Afrikaner, I know the Afrikaners have a very family-oriented history and culture, but that's also being lost. It's being lost amongst African cultures too. We are losing things because we are not looking at our cultural identities that we have, where we have so many things in common, and we're losing track of that. It is those things that we have in common that actually identifies who we are as a people. Whether it's your beliefs, your traditions, we have a lot of things in common as people, and that's where we should stand on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that contribution. Please give the microphone to the lady in front of him, and then I'm going to move to the center of the room.
I'm Mariana Lawrence. I'm from BFM Radio, but that's not who I am. I can so relate with everything everyone says. My young sister over there, our babies, we were born in the 40s. Dr. Connie, Dr. Baum. We were children when we didn't understand what was going on around us. In the 50 years ago, when I wanted to go and see John Carney directed, he was black, directed by Ethel Fugard, he's white. We couldn't even go legally. We had to go under the table. He's nodding. And I can't even remember what the venue was. He's where Banzi is dead. In the 70s, early 70s. It was somewhere where we were not allowed to go together. They had to go in the back. We could come in the front. So when I look in the mirror, who the hell am I? When I go to America and I say I'm African, I'm South African, they say, but you're white. And then when I was growing up, nobody told us what was happening. There were no TVs. Children didn't listen to the news. I had a best friend, Anna. She was Sotho from my grandpa, one of my grandpa's farm. We played, we slept together in a kermisbed. Those Afrikaans, understand Afrikaans, will know what a kermisbed is. It's a blankets on the floor and you cover yourself and you sleep in the same blankets. If the neighbors knew, they would have had a fit. The next day, I say to my mom, can Anna come with me to school? Please? And she would say, oh, you know, she's got to go with Opa to the hospital because of his leg and she's got to rub the ointment, but perhaps next time. So I didn't question that at school it wouldn't be allowed. I didn't even tell my friends. So therefore, I grew up in ignorance. We were lied to. We were robbed because my friend Anna, I don't even know what her surname was. I can never find her. I know she grew up in Rusenekal, daai noorde area. Who the hell am I? Here I am, one of the few white faces. I love you. I want to get together with you. I want to sleep in the same bed, under the same blankets. The memories I have are so, when I realized when I was in my 20s that we were lied to, that we were deceived, the wool was pulled over our eyes. I was so angry.
All right.
And then I realized that the visitor we used to have, that my mom took in and brought into our house, I only knew him as Oom Bay. I didn't know who he was till I was in my 30s. I realized he was Bayer's Nordia. My mom didn't make a big thing of it, that she was in with Bayer's Nordia. I was a child and I grew up deceived, and here I am now, almost 80 as well, and I want to love you all. I just want us to be together.
All right. Thanks for that contribution. Thank you for the contribution. We're coming to the middle side of the room. If we can please start right here on the second row.
For this opportunity. Dr. Bam, now I'm Shagas, now I'm Minister. Ngosi uThembi Ngosi Mboqo wamachawe. Ndazalelwa apha eBhayi. Ndakhulela apha eBhayi. Ndafunda apha eBhayi. Ndagraduate kwi-University yase Port Elizabeth. Ndophangela as a music teacher eGauteng. Ndisathetha isiXhosa, Dr. Kani, Dr. Bam namhlanje. I can speak English very well. I can't tell Afrikaans. Ngiyabuka isiSuthu. I happen to teach at Joburg. Abantwana abadivest. Yet ngumXhosa. Ophuma emaXhoseni. Ozinca ngobuXhosa bakhe. UbuXhosa busondele buthixweni. I just want to make a simple point, Kathy. Not as a chief, but as a human being and as a citizen, as a patron to South Africa. We cannot speak holistically about this issue. Because it's a huge question that you're asking. It cannot have a solution today. It's a work in progress. But where it starts, it should have started we capacitate the education fraternity. Because if you do so, you will be able to teach South African history. Not colonialism. No. South African history, so that the diverse kids of South Africa can know the real history of South Africa. Not a fan repeat. No. Our history. And that's a starting point to a work in progress. To go, but when we do that, we capacitate otishara, but teacher abandwan. It means we will be able, Dr. Kani, Dr. Parm, to listen to them as answering this question that we are asking today, who we are. They will be able to answer that question because they are living in a diverse country that needs to be fed with education.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Thank you for that contribution. All right, you can go to the back. There's a gentleman in the blue shirt. You can give him the microphone.
The apartheid regime planned to take us away from our roots and divided this country into a Republic of Seskai, Republic of Transkei, Republic of Botswana, creating citizens of the homelands. We fought that those to be done away with so that our heritage of being South Africans remains. We belong to South Africa, just as Russians belong to Russia. Indians belong to India. Chinese belong to China. We are South African. That's what we are. Ethnicity does not diminish the question that one is a South African. We are South African. We fought for that. Just recently in the 80s, the people of this country would stand up to deal with problems in communities and set up structures for that. Brave men like Dr. Kangi will continue with their music, encouraging the people. The thing is that it is with us, not to fold arms and say the government. We have to stand up. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. I just want to come back perhaps to our panelists and see if, I'm not done yet, I'm still going to come back to the rest of the audience that had its hands up. But I just want to get your reflections on what those that are here that have spoken have said so far. What are you getting the sense of? The response to the question of who we are. What is the sense that you're getting from these responses? Dr. Kangi, let me put you on the spot. Next round, I'll put somebody else on the spot to just give me those reflections. What is the sense that you're getting with the answers that you're hearing?
Thank you. Of course, Kathy, in an auditorium with such diverse people, you are going to get different responses to the question of who we are. What is our identity? You know, if you go to America, you only know that there are Irish people, Irish Americans, only on St. Patrick's Day, when they march through the streets celebrating their heritage and even disowning Joe Biden for forgetting that his ancestors are buried in Ireland and he never stood up for the people of Palestine. So you also know that there are Russians and Polish, but one thing that binds them together with such an arrogant way, I'm an American, therefore respect me. I'm an American. So when we talk about being South African, we're not excluding any other diverse position to that. My good chief says something so beautiful. When the Boers came in power in 1948, by 1961, you could study from grade 0 to matric to university in Afrikaans, because they had an agenda. They knew that the language was going to disappear in the majority of South Africans. 1994, and my granddaughter is in grade 2. She's studying in English. And they encourage me as a parent, please, please speak English, because they get left behind in the classroom. You say, we haven't produced books. We've got talking academics who have not taken the responsibility to rewrite the history of this country. From our point of view, we're reading stories about us written by other people. In fact, we even refer to ourselves as chiefs when actually we are kings. It was Queen Victoria who did not want to meet Seretsu Khama until he says he's Chief Khama. It was that colonization that reduced our kings, Izikumkani, into chiefs. So we need to rewrite this history. But we need a concerted effort from all of us. It does not take away from who we are. We are the people. The only problem we have, I was saying to my good friend Dr. Bam, it's English. Every time we try to explain ourselves in English, we get lost in this language that takes away the meaning of exactly what I want to say. How I wish that the Khoi, the San, the Zulus, the Xhosas, the Pedis, the Afrikaners, the English could speak their own language and we could understand without creating a Fanagalot language. I know what I want to say, but I could say it in isiXhosa, but I can't because I've got to communicate. So the problem here is English.
All right. Dr. Kangi, thanks for that contribution. There's a young lady on the third row. Where's the microphone? Where's my roving microphone? All right. There's a young lady on the third row. She's had her hand up for some time.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the floor at large. Good afternoon. My name is Kazimla Adam, and I am part of the South African Human Rights Commission as a child rights ambassador representing the Eastern Cape, among other things, but I won't get into that because of time restraints. But it's quite ironic how a question of 3 words is causing so much tobacco and we can't even answer it. Who am I? And as I was thinking about this, there was one defining character of South Africa that I just thought is very fitting. And it's our perseverance as a country. We have been through times of disaster, times of so much horror in our country, but we have persevered. How many years did we fight? Did our forefathers, my forefathers, fight for democracy? It wasn't just free. We carry on and keep on, and we do not give up in times of tribulation. We find good in times of disaster, like Utatu John Carney making Usizwe Banzi with Tatu Arthur Fugard, getting Tony nominations and awards. This just shows that, and the fact that we have legends in Eastern Cape, even though we are the murder capital of South Africa, we still find good in our country, and we still find good in our province. Now, I would just like to say that, and we see it in even the rugby, in our sports, in ways that we can express ourselves. We show people that we are greater than our disasters. We are greater than our obstacles that we fight in South Africa. Therefore, I would say that one defining character that we have as a people is our perseverance. I think you saying that a Rainbow Nation is too vague of an answer. When we did that, not with ill intent, but not knowing that we put a plaster on a bullet wound, just to look over all our trauma as South Africa, we should rather start the redefining of ourselves, of our people, and knowing what our values are.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Thank you so much for that contribution. I'm going to ask that we move towards the back of the middle. There's a gentleman right at the back with the glasses. Yes? You can, yeah.
Thanks, Kathy. My name is Vusumzi Mpa. I work for the department. I work for the research and policy development for the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. You know, Kathy, I think we sometimes miss the point. Yeah?
We sometimes
miss the point when we are explaining who we are. We focus too much on the secondary things rather than the primary thing.
Just hold the mic a little bit away from your mouth.
Come towards us. You far away from there. Come towards us, please. There you could be better.
No, I'm saying sometimes we miss the point. We tend to focus too much on secondary things when we are explaining or articulating who we are. I think at the center of everything is the fact that singabantu. When we are defining ourselves, we need to define ourselves. The departure point needs to be, we are people. Ne? We are people. Umveli Kangi, uThixo umdali, zangadala eMxhosa, zangadala eKhaladi, zangadala eNdiya, wadala umuntu. Therefore, we need to define who we are on the basis of humanity, the fact that we are humans. I think if we take it from that point, we would be able to have a constructive debate as to who are we and what is it that we want to achieve as a nation, you know? Because when we're speaking of a rainbow nation, we cease to run away from the fact that we are human beings, and therefore our development needs to define ourselves on the fact that we are human beings. Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to ask you to please, yes, you left the microphone in the front, okay. There's a lady on your row, please give her the mic. She's wearing glasses, no, at the back. Sorry, ma'am, yes.
Thanks, Kathy. Am I
Yes, just
audible?
hold the mic closer to your mouth.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Kathy. I agree with all the people actually spoke here, but I think that one of the things that we're missing is that we have a tendency of being very harsh on ourselves as South Africans. And Butkani, Bam, you know this area. The people, especially from Gqeberha, they don't hold back. You know, they don't hold back. But at the other end of who we are in Gqeberha, we work at finding solutions. Whether it is what's lacking in our homes, what's lacking in our street, we find solutions. I'm so pleasantly surprised because I'm recently retired, so I've been trying to have a break. But it's pleasant to see that Gqeberha has maintained its personality. We come out with whatever's in our mind, whatever's in our tummies, and ons sê. We also have the capacity. I've never seen it anywhere else. We also have the capacity here in this town. We have the capacity to embrace everything that represents us in all our differences. We fought, I see Mr. Sorry, why are you just escaping my mind? We were on the opposite side of the struggles for how our society should be organized, but we are able to embrace each other because at the end of the day, we still are reminded because of the bigger picture of who we are as South Africans.
All right.
So I think that I'll just leave it there, but thank you very much.
Thank you for that contribution. Thanks for that contribution, ma'am. I'm going to come to the front. I'm sorry. I'm coming to the front.
One of my chiefs here said I can't speak in front of him because he's my spokesperson. And I agree with him, but I need to do this. Apologies.
Tita Tarita. Tita Kea Nakama Gohoap Kingas. Di Koratona Gedi Karama Kais Tusasip. Who? Oh. All right. Now I thought you were going to translate for them. Tarida Kais Ge Asirari Kai. The only reason why I'm standing is because of the camera. Otherwise, in my culture, I must sit and talk. Ma'am, we inherited a lie. We inherited an illusion. We inherited a confusion. We inherited a dream of a rainbow nation with no color black in it. And according to the Employment Equity Act, black is described as African, colored, and Indian. Now that's exactly where the problem lies. How can you have an African and a colored that were both born, bred, and buttered up? But he's an African and he's a colored in the same Africa. How is it possible? We inherited that lie from the apartheid colonial regime. And now we are busy trying to convince people about a lie that came from colonial apartheid. We are even enjoying now the benefits of what we call a Roman Dutch law. How can we not even, are you from Rome? You're not from Rome. Are you from Dutch? No. We don't have Romans or Dutch here. But maybe they are here, the Dutch.
Let me not go to the Dutch now. Just in case Rochelle de Kock is going to hunt me. So we inherited that dream, ma'am. And it's a lie. We need to sit and look at the lie that was given to us by a Kodesa without the presence of the clay and the sand. How can you have a discussion about a people without the people? So when we say Africans are from Africa, colored, uvelapi. Because Chinese comes from China. Japanese comes from Japan. And Africans come from Africa. Colored, uvelapi. I can understand if you are claiming you're an Indian because Indians are from India in Africa. I don't know where's India in Africa. But I mean when you are from Africa, you are an African. Now we have Dr. Kani. I'm sitting here and I try to comprehend the understanding. In pre-1994, remember I thank my government for bringing 30 years of democracy because where we came from is hurtful, it's painful. Now we have signs during the pre-1994, signs that says Europeans only. Where are those Europeans? Because if I look now, those Europeans are calling them now selves Afrikaners. But pre-94, they were Europeans. Post-94, they are now Afrikaners. But the word Afrikaner is the Afrikaans word for the English word African. Now who's fooling who? Who's lying to who? Because they were Africans, Rochelle. They were Europeans. They were Europeans. The signs was clear. Europeans only. Where are those Europeans? Now don't come lie to us. Don't come lie to us. Ha deka a. Titani ha. Tarita a krais. Ge asir kai. It reminds me, Dr. Kani, when former President Thabo Mbeki, when he said, I am an African. When he boastfully said, I owe my being to the clay and the sand. Who was the first in line to defend our democracy and our freedom. How come in the 30 years we never celebrated that? Every year we celebrate Langa, Soweto. I don't have a problem with that. I'm a paid up member of the African National Congress in good standing. I don't have a problem celebrating Langa. But how come?
Kiva. I'm also ex-official with Nkosi Nonkonyana and Nkosi Dudumayo. I am, however, here in my capacity as Kwe. You raised the question Who are we? Tita, Tarita, Tita ke akwe. Who are you? I am Kwe. And Kwe is a direct translation of being human. Now, when those who wanted to lay claim to this thing called Africa, when they wanted to lay claim, they came like the predator I am in spirit. They came like the lion looking at the herd. And they looked at the herd and they saw the weakest ones. They went and divided us to make sure they prey on the weak. And the first they preyed on was those that they encountered when they first arrived here. They came and they renamed out Sumatu to Heridistrand Loper. They came and they renamed Korotuas, now known as Kratua, to Iefa. Because that was the strategy and the tactic of those that came to colonize us. I must accolade and salute Dr. Kani in his opening remarks. You immediately grabbed my attention because it takes courage to speak the truth. I was parked and am still parked behind City Hall. And as you can see, I walk with my bare foot. When I walk towards here, the energy that came from the soil spoke of hardships, spoke of colonialist oppression, murder, and death. And when I came into the hall, I was greeted with an ambience of entitlement, an ambience of ego that should not exist in a democratic dispensation, not as leaders. I have to continue in saying that it was the late Chief Michael Williams who said that as long as the Khoi and the San are not truthfully, with emphasis on the word truthfully, recognized, will the country's economy not prosper? When I came to the registration table, I was greeted by a form, and the form asked me under race. And I asked the person with the form, are we going to run somewhere because it's the only race I know? I asked the person, which race are we referring to? And she said, your ethnic group. And I said, but I am an African. There is no ethnicity in Africa, because colonial borders was created by different countries, European countries, who laid claim to certain parts of Africa. That's why you'll find, if you go to the western side, they speak French and Portuguese. If you go further north, they speak different languages here in Africa. And those that are from Africa no longer identify as African, because even the language was taken from them. I was at the Khoi and San Symposium in Cape Town when this doctor stood up of the Saltpike University and she spoke of the Rainbow Nation. And she said, how can we speak of a Rainbow Nation when it lacks a certain color? My paramount spoke the same thing of that Rainbow Nation. I'm glad to see that Pansalp is here. We have 11 official languages. We are now being introduced to one native language, which is Nama. When I spoke Kora. You get Kora, you get Nama, you get Ngu, you get Kham. There's so many others. Why are we only being introduced to one language when we have that diversity? It is a heritage that we inherited, a legacy that was forced upon us with these colonial dispossessions. We come to these talk shows, and I call it a talk show because we'll talk. From here, we go our separate ways. We no longer want to come to talk shows, but we need to see decisive action.
All right.
We need to see things happen that speaks to transformation, that speaks to restoration. I'm speaking to the burger They publish me, or the Herald, they publish me almost every month because I'm occupying land. According to them, I am invading land in a country of my birth. My grandmother's grandmother knows no other country and will not know any other country than this, but I am called a land invader by the same newspaper.
All right. Thank you so
very
much, sir. Thanks for that contribution. There's two final hands at the back that I'm going to take. Yes, sir. Remember when I said I'm starting on the right side and working my way this way? That's what I said when I started. So please allow me to finish with this section of the room.
I thank you, Katie, for the opportunity. I'm standing here today, undisputable. I am the First Nation of South Africa. We have done our DNA test in 2010. And that shows me I can never find a word colored. I was so shocked when the program director and even you are still using that word colored. You know what it means to me. You take a knife and you put it in my heart. Can you please refrain from that word? It is painful for us. That John 2010, we take 50 is a course of people in Kariga. DNA test. You know how much of them came out Koi and Son? 49, only one Kosa. Remember, we as the Koi and San, we are not the minority in South Africa. It's undisputable. I'm very glad when doctors say, I was grown up with your grandfathers and your grandmothers. I count my forebearers. I say, no, she's talking the truth. Yan yan. I want to ask this audience today, please remove that word. Die laaste apartheid president van die country het 1991 die woord geskraap, maar onze eie government hou nog hierdie woord teen ons. Daar sit 'n koning nou in die Union Building. Hy sê president, remove die woord colored. Help ons asseblief.
All right.
Julle het die wysheid om dit te doen. Kamako.
Thank you. Please take the microphone to the back. No, I'm not taking any more in the front. I'm so sorry. We're going straight to the back. Sorry? You were what? You were one of the first hands. Okay, so you're the last person I'm taking from the front. You can go ahead, but you're the last person I'm taking from the front.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Program director,
that's fine.
All protocol observed.
Yes, sir.
A special greeting to all the chiefs from my other brothers. First of all, I just want to say, when it comes to social cohesion, it's a very sensitive and a very emotional topic to us. Especially when it comes to a nation that's still fighting for identity. We are presently entertaining a false identity which was given to us after the Population Restriction Act changed of 1950. We become the colored people. And the same people who classify us as colored people, they declare themselves as as Africans. So today we are landless, we are poor, not because we are stupid, because of the power of gunpowder. In the Eastern Cape there was 9 frontier wars, which the Khoi and the Xhosa brothers of us fought together. We died together. But today, my own brothers are deliberately keeping our kids unemployed. I lost my grandchild. I sent her to the shop to buy pepper. She never came back because of the gangsters shooting to each other, because of the unemployment that is not coming in our way. We can't entertain things like this when we're employing 1,000 people. Not even one Khoi is present. I can give you examples and it will make you more ashamed, but I don't want to do that. But please, when we talk about a collective, inclusive country, we must make sure that the Khoi people are also part of the economical development of this country. I thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. I need to honor my paramount chief, Stiankam, PC Crawford, Huapkami, and all the other chiefs and everyone here. Thank you to Dr. Kani, Dr. Bam, and all the guests in front. Dr. Bam, you mentioned we have the best constitution in the world. Are you sure? Okay. But now, why is this constitution dividing us? I'll get to that. If you go to the Western Cape, the DA governed the Western Cape. True? Yes. Now, why are they using a different law than the other provinces? They're using federal law. Federal law is used by America. And this country, this government allow it to happen. That's why they have their own ministers and everyone there. They govern the Western Cape. They don't even recognize the Khoi and the San or any other traditional law that's there. Yes. Okay. So the Constitution actually divides us because of federal law. They allow federal law to be practiced amongst us by the Democratic Alliance. I don't want to talk politics, but that's a fact. So, and we can see we have spatial planning. That's one of our biggest problems, spatial planning. That is why our people stay poor. I will take Ward 1 here. That's the richest ward here. Okay, the richest ward have 18,765. That's a population, right? They cover 146.5 square kilometer. Okay? And that kilometers are covered by, populated by only 128. Now we get to the poorest one, Ward 13, Katanga. Katanga have 21,000 people there in only 2.2 square kilometers. Only 2.2 square kilometers. Here they have less people, 146 square kilometers, right? So now you squeeze 21,000 people into 2.2 square kilometer, right? And then you get 105 square meter per person.
All right.
See, so what I'm getting at is spatial planning. We need our space. We need our land so that our people can stretch their hands.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, sir. I'm going to ask that you please take the microphone right to the back. I'm going to the back of this particular aisle, right to the back. I'm not recognizing any new hands. I'm going right to the back. Thank you.
Can you? Yes, it's not working. Was I pressing? Okay.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Cedric Human. Kathy, the question is, who am I? I am poverty. I am an animal. Why do I say I'm an animal? Because our people stays in hawker. Our people's children gets driven to schools with bakkies. Animals are the back of bakkies. Then we expect people to be nice when they're burning tires. So before we start talking about social cohesion, we first need to address the issue of poverty. the issue of homelessness, because our people cannot keep on going and do as they please. And the second thing is this, don't refer to me as a minority. I'm black, I'm of Khoisan descendants, I have other races in me. However, and I'm Afrikaans. So you can never call me a minority when I know my people, Afrikaans-speaking black people, are more, and I'm emphasizing the term more, than the deputy president and the president of this country. So we are more, how can they not be minorities? But I'm a minority. That is wrong. Thirdly is this, I'm disappointed in the fact that the minister comes here on national TV talking about the colored. And as a minister, she's supposed to know that that word is not in the constitution of this country. So we need to start fixing these things.
Okay.
So please, let us start dealing with the issues. And we really have to start looking seriously at the concept of social cohesion.
All right.
Because we are really in serious trouble. We are on the brink of a revolution. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. The lady at the back.
Thank you. My name is Kairu Grootboom.
Yes, just try and hold the microphone also closer to your mouth.
Good day. Good day, everyone. My name is Kairu Grootboom, and I'm from Hellenville.
Sorry, we can't hear. Is that microphone on? Just double check that it's on, yes? Yeah.
Yes. Good day, everyone. I'm Kairu Grootboom, and I come from Hellenville. I'm 17 years old.
Yes, just try and hold it close to the mic. Yes.
Like this?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day, everyone. I'm Kairu Grootboom, and I'm from Hellenville. Ward 32, sir, not Ward 13. Well, the question, who are we? If I refer to it, first thing I think about South Africa and what we've been through. I think about the people, and then I think we are fighters. And I believe we are fighters. And I believe we are people with a mindset. And once we place that mindset and near to that goal, we achieve that goal. So everything that we place to achieve, we will achieve. And when I think about this question, who are we? Rather not think about different races or colors or people. Because first we are people. We are humans before we are anything else. Let's think about that. Let's think about keeping us, everyone at the equal state, you know, not that one is better than the next. We come from an area, a time where we've been oppressed. This country knows how it feels to be oppressed. The country knows how it feels to be less. It knows how it feels to be placed in different places, to be separated because of the color of your skin. We know that feeling, but yet we still talk about different colors, different races. We still are in that mindset. Are we free from apartheid? Yes, but are our minds free from apartheid? Our minds are not free from apartheid yet, because we're still under poverty. We're still under oppression from our own mind, saying that we are not good enough, we can't do it. We leave problems to government. No, government is not ruled by themselves. People, they rule government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Yes, just come to the front. Come to the front. Okay. All right. Thank you for assisting her there.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. My name is Tenjiwe Nonimba. I'm from Siapambili Disabled Community Project. Ma'am, before I get into the question that you asked, I'm a disabled woman. I'm a South African. I would like to speak my own language, because the constitution of this country it allows me to use my own language.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Okokuqala, ma'am, ndilapha namhlanje as a blind person, othi uyi South African, by the document that you have in front of you, a program, doesn't accommodate me as a South Africa and a blind person. Where is the brain? Secondly, you are invited us here as a disabled person or a South African. Sign language is official in this country. Do you have a person here who's interpreting in sign language? What if here amongst us, there's a person who's hard hearing person who had nothing that is saying here? Uzawugoduka athi uvendoni if there's no sign language interpreter. Ikhona yon? Thanks a lot if ikhona, but ibraille. Ane. Ndizinca njani as umntu okhubazekileyo oyi South African xa ndingekho protected kwilizwe lethu? Ndingena shelter, ndiphila under poverty. And ke ngoku iSouth Africa yethu siphila kwiSouth Africa oyidefine as a high rate of corruption. People that are selfish, self-centered, are thinking for themselves. They only know us during the voting time. How I wish principle. We are all human beings. uThixo zangasidale sibe ngamaXhosa sibe ngamaKhoisan sibe ngantoni phambi kobuso bukaThixo singabantu. This thing of identifying ourselves ngobuni bethu yiyo liyenza bangaba sicalulane singafunani. I think benzothetha lonto mna masibeke ibantu bathuphile principle and singabantu sidalwe nguThixo ngabantu ngenjongo. God has a purpose ukudala umuntu.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm going to ask that you please take okay. We'll just wait for her just to assist in terms of getting Uma back into her seat. And then I'm going to ask that if we can move the microphone just here to the front. It's going to be the final comment that we're taking for our conversation today. Yes, it's on, sir. Okay, no, it's not.
Hello, it's on now. Can you hear me? My name is Patrick Pasha. For more than 2 hours, we have been debating around identity. All these hours has been about identity. Who we are. Who am I? Now my question is, because I'm a bit confused, to whom are these questions asked? And who do we expect to respond to these questions? Taking into consideration, in 2 months' time, we are going for elections. We don't know what's going to happen after elections. As I'm sitting here, I'm saying, do we have to waste that time seeking our identities, when we can begin now to ask this one question: who placed me on planet Earth? Why am I on planet Earth? We all have been placed on planet Earth with different attributes. You have something I don't have. I have something you don't have. Don't you think it would be wonderful to be sharing those attributes? Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So your hand is about to fall off. Let me just make an accommodation for you, because I can see that you'll go home very heartbroken.
No, I won't go heartbroken home, lady. It will be wrong if I come to a dialogue. Who you are and I'm not talking. I don't care if you don't want me to talk or not talk. Understand? Because you already showed me. But there's nothing. I'm here for the dialogue. The dialogue is, who are we and who are me? That's what it is. The problem is now, all of us didn't work for who we are and who are we here. But others come and they give their cooperation. As I listen to all the speakers there in front today.
All right, I'm going to ask that the people at the back of the room, can we all please keep our voices down so that we can give him an opportunity to speak. Let's please be respectful to the people that have the microphone.
Some of us was involved before the vote of 27 April 1994, so that we can talk today like this. Our main problem for who we are is our media in South Africa that is destroying us. Not to identify your identity. On top of it, I'm not an Afrikaans speaking person, I'm not an English speaking person. I'm a first indigenous person of this country. And never on the agenda of the speakers, they recognize the first person, people of this country. It's nothing wrong, but because we are also Africans, but we are not recognized in their speeches. They only recognize who they are in here in this Africa. But today, the African National Congress was established by all the tribes, including our leadership, that was being destroyed. And today, we have to identify all that vote of 94 so that we have the freedom today to talk like this. We need our recognition as the first indigenous status of the Africans of this country.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, quite a lot has been said. And I really hope that the department realizes what it has done just through starting the conversation today. Remember, you don't go and provoke something if there's no true intention to deal with the issue. There's been a lot of emotion in the room this afternoon. And I think part of the reason is because this question of who we are, it's a collective question and it's a personal question. And it shows the extent to which, as South Africans, we are grappling with that question on both levels. It's a question that we want to be able to answer, but there is so much else that gets in the way on our way there. It's for the leaders that are in the room to look at it and say, how do we then begin to help this question make sense in the context of all of the issues that this question brings up? Did you not hear issues in the answers? I heard a lot of issues in the answers that people were given. And yet the question is a very simple one. But it provokes so much in us. And it's true what the gentleman said. It's not a question that is going to be answered in a day, but I don't think it should be. Because the day that we ask this question and people can answer it without all of the issues that have been added onto it is the day that we will know we have done the work as a country that we need to do. I think that should be our focus out of a conversation like this, to say we all now have an idea of just how much work we need to do. I'm going to give our panelists an opportunity to give their final reflections as we close off today's conversation. I don't know if, Rochelle, let me start with you, and I'm going to end off on this side of the room.
Thanks so much, Kathy. I definitely agree with you that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of what was said. And I think it boils down to the fact that we each identify in different ways. It's an individual thing, it's a personal thing. And what we found is that, I found it quite interesting, actually, quite a few people saying, but why do we talk about race? Why do we continue to talk about race? And I think it's through platforms such as this and dialogue and talking about the uncomfortable things that we then start to get some kind of guidance and some kind of, guiding light telling us, okay, perhaps this is the path that we should be following. And I think we started something here today. I would like to commend the Department of Arts and Culture for doing this, and I hope it's not the last time. Let's have uncomfortable conversations. Let's probe. Let's talk about it. Let's get messy, and then hopefully we then get to a point where we on our way. All right. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Ms. Mafu.
Thanks, Kathy, and maybe one must start by thanking everybody who decided to come and be part of this conversation, because I think it was important for all of us to gather here and be able to say what is it that we think South Africa should be. And one thing that came out clearly here is the fact that the conversations must continue. We need to have ongoing conversations. As my colleague says here, that the uncomfortable issues that we deal with, we need to continue dealing with them. But one other thing that has come out in the conversation is the fact that we need to probably take note of the fact that family structure is broken. And we need, as South Africans, to look at the issues of the role of family. If you listened to Ma when she was saying, abantwana bethu bahlala ezibrijini badla ama-drugs, the family structure is critical in actually making sure that we build an identity that we want, and it starts with the family. And one area that I think I am taking home with me is what has been said here, that education is critical in making sure that it actually cautions and it grooms the young people. Our history must be taught at schools so that our kids, as they grow up, they understand what their identity is. It starts with the education. So we need to take closer look at the kind of education that we are having. All that I want to agree and accept is what you said, Kathy, that people are going to struggle to say who they are as long as their social conditions are not being dealt with, because they start to look at the things that affect them before they are able to say who they are. Much as we are having good programs, much as we are having a good constitution that is under probably, and some people saying, is it? But it starts there because our rights and who we are at least there in the constitution, safeguarded. But what then do we do to make sure that we build a South Africa that belongs to all of us, where everybody feels that this is my country? And I think these conversations are going to help in a way that as we move towards the 7th administration, as we go towards the elections, we start to think about who we are and what is it that we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask that the back of the room, there's a lot of movement at the back of the room. Please let's try and just keep it down as we conclude this conversation. Dr. Bam?
Forgive me for repeating what has been said by other panelists and by other people from the audience. I am hoping that the next 2 generations will be able to deal with this question. I think this is the most difficult question you could have thought of. I thought muzawukhetha into ezimandana nje, you know, about South African music, you know, and then we're going to have a good time. But this is reality. As long as you have to look at the whole world also. Look at our history, Bantwana Bam. And I'm not trying to justify anything on this country. Look at our history. Our history is part of the present. So we can't deal with the present without knowing where we have come from and where many others have come from. It is proved that racist societies in the world, and maybe the new theories will come when I'm long gone. I'm told that racist societies have the greatest problem of dealing with identity. But I won't be there, so mnake I'll be gone. And I want to support, I want to support strongly what Inkosi Yethu Notishara said. Is that as long as we are expecting our kids to be the ones to solve this problem, and we continue now to separate the society as we are doing, how are they going to find their identity? How are they going to even discuss what he says they should be discussing? We are already in trouble now, let me tell you. And not discourage you. I belong to the church, so I am very churchy, that's my life. We were hoping in my church that after 30 years we'll be worshiping together. That's where I come from. And I was also hoping, Nam as an ex-teacher, that by now South Africa would be having 1 syllabus for schools. Yes, I did. I didn't know that after 1994, by now, the schools are different, the language is different, name it. And I just want to say to you, and let us find now a way of equipping our children. I'm repeating you, sir, so that our children and the generations to come can answer this question. And look very seriously, South Africa, at models in other countries. If you don't do that, and you say you are an exception in the world, and I want to tell you that research shows, and maybe there's going to be new research coming, I repeat, that as long as we operate in a racist society, I'm not talking about being right or wrong, I'm not passing racism here. It is very difficult to deal with identity questions. Noba bantu they intermarry, ungasazazi noba utatam wayintoni wantoni. That is really the thing, and I hope that we will thank you, the department people think about this, that we look at what are those things that equip today abantwana bethu to find solution to these problems. I think that's where we should be. And I support very much, teacher, what you said. I'm borrowing it from you. We equip abantwana bethu ngoku so they are dealing with the future of today. This has been a wonderful, wonderful, I'm sorry I won't be with you in the next 10 years. But I do want to say that what happened, and don't undermine this, what happened in this country, don't undermine. The recognition that black people of this country are made in God's image is fundamental. It's a gain we have made. It's a gain that God's people, no matter what color they are, they have a right to vote. And it's mama we vote in the No, and I'm saying these things seriously. So I think we must begin to look at the gains that have been made before and the roads that were taken by people before you. And complement those gains and then work and proceed on them. I never thought during my lifetime I would be able to vote. I never thought that during my lifetime, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, I could use a toilet that is used by white people. I'm talking about myself. So that I'm saying that the road is long. The road is long, but there's one road we can solve. There's one road we can solve, and that is, in this country, there should be nobody who goes to bed without food. We can solve it. It doesn't need our children to solve. We can solve it now and now. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bam.
Okay. I want to start by thanking the Deputy Minister, MMC, for taking a chance of collecting all these people to come in here and talk about this delicate issue. I want to thank everybody who stood up and spoke without any intimidation. I want to thank your courage of putting your point across, and you were heard and we listened. After all of this that has happened today, there wasn't a single person that's saying, in the attempt to answer the question who we are, that we are not Africans. That we agreed on. In the definition of being South African, that's when the problem begins. Because through defining us as South Africans, there are certain people we tend to leave out. I was talking in Cape Town at the university, and there was a professor from Botswana who talked about rock art, the paintings in the caves. And I said, sir, it's not rock art, it's a library left by our ancestors. Learn to decode it and read it. It's a book. It's not rock art. I want to thank the people here who stood up, and those who said, because what I was going to say has already been said, therefore I don't need to repeat it. This is the most unbelievable beginning for the government of the Eastern Cape and the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro to bring us here and allow us to say things that they may not like to hear. And I like that you took it in because they represent a government. And they need to hear what we feel, what we think, and what we want to say. And I really want to thank them for allowing this conversation to take place. Yes, did not expect anyway we were going to shake hands and agree on everything and the answer is finished and we go, it wouldn't be Imbizo. It wouldn't be an assembly of people. So it was right what happened here today, and I must commend the MMC and of course the Deputy Minister and the Culture Department that we were allowed to say exactly what we feel. Because we are proud. What I notice also to people who keep saying, who are we? Within that question they answered, we are Africans. While they were angry about being called colored, but they did come out in the end by saying, we are human when we have an identity. So we got a lot of answers here from the people who were thinking they are attacking and wanting to be heard. Not one of us here was thrown out because he completely disagreed with what's going on today. Therefore, people in government at all levels in the 9 provinces, I wish this could be sent as a testament of a truth that was spoken today. So that when they get to a point of making certain decisions, they are reminded that the people on the ground feel this way. It's important for us to know that the dissemination of this information, of this Congress, of this meeting, for me was the most positive political meeting I've ever attended. Because they spoke the truth and they didn't care whether you like it or not. That's what you organized and that's what was achieved today. Yes, each one of us now must begin to examine yourself and find within you individually to answer this question of who we are, our national identity, heritage, nation building, social cohesion. Answer this question inclusively in representative of others that may not be what a part of you that you think they are. Learn to speak in a collective voice. The enemy out there, his only job is to divide us. We're weaker when we speak as individuals. We're stronger when we speak as a unit. And that without even trying to say, but I'm not you, I'm not Zulu, I'm not Tsonga, I'm not Pedi, I'm not Khoi, I'm not San. I am actually all of you. I am all of you. And if we could understand that part, then we move forward. And I love my great sister here, Dr. Bam, saying, people, stop thinking there's a gravy train or a delivery truck coming from a place called government that will solve your problems. When you have a right to vote, you're a citizen. When you're a citizen, you have a right to be heard. You have a right to demand. I was talking to my friend and he said, when you talk about service delivery, where is the truck that is loaded from where to deliver where we live? I thought delivery is like that. We keep taking that service delivery, as if there are 16 trucks parked somewhere ready to deliver to us. Yet we can say to our government, this is the list we want. But within reason and within understanding the difficult challenges, I think, Mamubam and my panelists, we underestimate the damage of colonialism and apartheid. We thought we could get rid of it in a nice way, without disturbing or offending other people. You cannot change what is wrong by being nice to the wrongdoer. So we needed that. We need a government that is a little bit stronger. We need a government that is not playing the democracy and allowing the democratic right of people to accuse and answer. We need a government that says, this is the way we're going. Because we speak the will of the people.
All right.
We drive the will of the people. And this meeting, I'll speak about it all over when I go home, when I go wherever the world. That if you really, really, really want to understand what democracy is, come to the Eastern Cape.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Come to the Eastern Cape. You have a right to say, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
mihla isikhuni sibuya nomkhwezeli kodwa unobangela akaziboni impazamo zakhe. Khalithi kwaqa libambe ucwangco lisabele inzolo. Kuthuntsudhuntsu kuphansi phezulu ubomi kuqula ukubheda. Unankala kazibona ukuba uhamba ngecala. Yonke le mihla isikhuni sibuya nomkhwezeli kodwa unobangela akaziboni impazamo zakhe. Ilizwe lethu liyaqutha. Ilizwe lethu yintsapsuku. Wonke umuntu utyiwa zinto zakhe uyaxoka othi wonwabile. Indlela esibusela ngayo utywala iyazonwabisa iintshaba zethu. Ewe kakade madoda umthathi uyawuzala umlotha. Kodwa igqabi aliweli kude nomthwalo. Ndifuna usabela abazali ngaba ningumzekelo naye bantwaneni benu. Namhlanje ulutsha luyabhubha. Bazali ndithi kuni aningomzekelo ebantwaneni benu. Fundisani abantwana inkcubeko yabo. Fundisani abantwana imvelaphi yabo. Nilwa norhulumente nixa kwazi ukusombulula iingxaki zeengingqi zenu. Nikhala ngamapolisa ngawabambi amasela. Kodwa niyamazi umuntu othengisa iziyobisi nkqi kumkhomba. Hambani bazali niyolungisa ukuhlala konakele. Into ebuhlungu kuyo yonke le nto yokusela kwethu utywala sithi silwa uxinezelelo lwengqondo ayikho loo nto. Masibe ngumzekelo. Sakhe isizwe sethu ngenkcubeko nobugcisa. Masibe ngamaqhawe sibe ngamathandazwe siqolele ujika imehlo ngelizwe lethu. Ndiyarhamba larhubula isirhamba.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think that is probably one of the reasons why it's so amazing to be South African. That you can be in a space, and when we are allowed to be our true selves, the creativity that comes up is unmatched. I know that there is a lot about today that may have a lot of us in the room feeling uncomfortable. And Dr. Bam said, you know, she thought we were going to come and have a nice time and go and, you know, maybe sing Kumbaya at the end of the day. But, you know, Dr. Bam, I think there's power in discomfort. And there's also power in dealing with discomfort. That if today is to be worthwhile, we must work through the discomfort that we are all feeling, or that some of us may be feeling. Because in that will be the answers and the solutions that we need to truly build the bridges that we need between us. And so as we continue with the conversation, I hope that it's not a conversation that's going to continue with the people that we know, the people that look like us, the people that think like us, the people that agree with everything that we say. It's only going to matter if we have it across the bridge. So let it happen with the people who don't look like us, the people who don't agree with our ideas and with our views of what this country should be. That's when true progress is going to come in. You have all been really, really fantastic. I want you to give yourselves a round of applause for how amazing you have been. Thank you for your insightful analysis, commentary of your experience. One of the biggest fruits of our democracy is freedom of speech. That you can come not only in a room like this, but wherever you go, and you can say what you want. That is one of the things that makes us great as a nation. And I hope that that spirit will continue, even when it is uncomfortable. So thank you all for your contributions to this conversation. To the panelists, thank you all for sharing your insights, for sharing your experiences. And again, I think all of us walk away from this conversation with something. I don't know what that something is yet for me. There's so many things I need to unpack. But the one thing I'm clear about is that our work as a country has not been what it needs to be in order to speak to every single person in this room. And that's the challenge that I feel, that somebody spoke about the media. And I think that's the challenge that is resting on my shoulders today, to say, how do we have conversations that are meaningful to people in a way that impacts them? Because listening to what was said, I got a sense that we think we know South Africa, but the reality is that we don't. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been able to come and facilitate this conversation. Busi, I'm going to hand over back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mutlatlane. And just before you can be excused, if you can bear with us. Wow. Is it me, or we just had one hell of a discussion? And when someone said it needed to be like this, it needed to be today, it needed to be here, indeed, it really did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those insightful comments and discussions, and everyone who has stayed the course in terms of listening and contributing to the dialogue. And as the department, working together with Old Mutual and Hollywood Bets and the Shiref Foundation, we thought, when we were trying to get this panel, and we said to ourselves, we could never afford them because we are government. But we thought, in the little that we have, let us express our gratitude and appreciation for having left everything you needed to do today to come grace us. And therefore, we'll request the Deputy Minister and the MEC to come and hand over a token of appreciation to Dr. Kani first. Honorable MEC. And I must tell you, we have tried so hard to try and make sure that the gifts are personalized to each and every one of you. There is the truck. Doc, the research tells us that Nothing But the Truth is one of the first books that you've written. And we've been going out of our way to try and get Nothing But the Truth and frame it for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. May I request Mam Konza, Honorable Konza, and Shiref to come to the stage to hand over a gift to Dr. Brigalia Bam. And Doc, I think yours was very difficult to find. We thought, because we are having a dialogue on the 30 years of democracy, you can go to your sit downstairs, Dr. Kangi. We thought, we tried to find your book, Democracy is More Than Just Elections. And we had difficulty finding the book because it is not in stores, it is not being reprinted. But thank God for Julie from IEC. She had your book and she gave it to us for you to gift it to you. Thank you so much. And indeed, democracy is more than just elections. May I request Dr. Chongolo and DDG to come hand over a gift to Ms. Rochelle de Kock. Ms. de Kock, the role that you play as herald in terms of being the watchdog and holding government accountable is very crucial in the democracy of this country. And so we've been going around in East London trying to find a Herald newspaper, and it has been difficult because you are based in Gqeberha, but we found one. Not just one, but we found a heading where you partnered with the department in celebrating the life and times of Utata Umakoma. And we think it will speak to you as it speaks to us. Thank you so much. And lastly, may I request Ubud Frank Yawa from Hollywood Bets and Mawande Daweni from Old Mutual to come to the stage and hand over a gift to our beautiful seasoned journalist and broadcaster, Ms. Kathy Muhlahlana. Akazo kwendela apha mphathiswa wendele apha simgodusile. We went around to try and find a microphone because there's no Kathy Muhlahlana without a microphone. And this is us saying thank you, and the role that you play as a broadcaster at SAFM, at Newsroom Africa is crucial in steering such discussions and dialogues. Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you for facilitating this session for us. That one. And Deputy Minister, we have a gift for you. We have a gift for you too. Thank you so much for being a support and making sure that the province is catered for and you are able to come whenever we are in need of the department. Thank you so much, Mama. Unfortunately, because you know our budget problems, we couldn't get a frame for you. I will allow you then to go back to your seats. Thank you so much for today. And you will miss your flight.
No, we'll want to stay here forever.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam. Thank you so much. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we will get an opportunity to take pictures with Dr. John Kangi. If we could allow for us to conclude the program, and then we will have our networking session. And I know Honorable Konza hates me right now, but I'm going to request that she comes and gives a vote of thanks, and we can then officially close the session. We have noted each and every view and comment that has been raised. Thank you, MEC. Thank you. If we could please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. And I think, Deputy Minister, I'm going to put you on the spotlight. I'm going to put the Deputy Minister on the spotlight, and I'm happy that the DDG is here, because I think the room agrees that this cannot be the end of this dialogue. This cannot be the end of this discussion. We need to have more of these. And we are really appealing to your good office, Deputy Minister, because unfortunately we cannot hold these dialogues without Tatam. We need the financial resources to continue with the dialogues. We are more than ready to continue with them, TTG. We need the money to continue with the dialogue so that we can, at least the logistics of it are taken care of, and we continue with these dialogues. And we are going to touch on every uncomfortable conversation. We are going to touch on sport transformation. We are going to touch on a number of things. They are not a talk shop. We are noting them, and they are going to guide how then do we move forward as government in terms of planning, in terms of implementing, but in terms of doing an introspection of what it is that we are doing and what it is that we can do to make sure that we create a South Africa that is democratic, that is non-sexist, that is non-racial, an equal society for all those who live in it. And fortunately, we have our sister departments also here, social development and other departments, to tackle some of the issues that might not necessarily be about finding our identity, but issues that speak to people's social and well-being. And I can assure you we are going to tackle each and every view that has been raised here. And so, with those words, thank you so much, and I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much, Honorable Con.
Thank you, Program Director. Good afternoon to everybody that is in the house. It has been a wonderful day. Maybe in the vote of thanks, Mabai, we need to thank the department for inviting the legislature in the first place. Because if we were not here, we would have missed a lot as policymakers. Because some of the issues that were raised here are a road path, are an indication of what direction particular policies should take. What is it that needs to be amended, and what is it that needs to be restructured? And one of those to me would be that just on a very, very simple note, communication of the programs of government and what is already happening that people don't know about. Because if you would listen here, you would think that nothing has happened, because we don't communicate well what we are doing. We do more, but we speak less. We are cruel to ourselves as South Africans, starting from government. I think in thanking everybody that was here, let me start with the presenters, the facilitators of the program, starting from the program director and the facilitator of the panel. Because the panel is productive as the facilitator is a sort of thoughtful. If the facilitator can't provoke thought, the panel becomes dead. They become directionless. So that to me, and even the speeches that happened before, whether it is the prayer, through the prayer services, whether it is the introductory remarks and the welcoming and the guest note by the MEC, it crafted the debate here. We thank the panelists for making us think, starting by making us feeling like we are confused. You really succeeded in making us confused. And then coming up with solutions to the confusion. Because that then put us in a better space for us to understand that it is not all that lost. Thank you for making a discussion that started to say that we are human beings, we know that. But going further and saying that we can describe ourselves even with more adjectives, that we are African, that we are persevering, the young person was saying here, that we are fighters, that we are visionaries, that we can sort of hold hands in the time of pain and make harder situations lighter through our music, through our sport. Everything was said here. Thank you for that platform. Thank you for making us realize that we are the liberators, the young person was saying here. We need to liberate our minds. We are the liberators of our own systems, of our own space, of our own lives. Because we have the power. We elect government. And therefore we have to direct government, as you are doing here. We appreciate that. We appreciate a visionary leadership that is in this house. The stakeholders that are here, the debates that are here, they are going to feed into the new program. Because what this says now, Honorable MEC, is the question that is simple and says, what needs to be done, Ke? We tried to respond to who we are. Yes, there are gaps, but what do we need? What needs to happen for us to understand who we are? For us to say that we are confident, we are content, we know who we are. We are Africans and we are a fighting nation. Minister, one of the things that I want to appreciate in your presence is that our people should understand that government is seamless. There is no border between national, provincial, and local. There shouldn't be a border. Because what people are going to vote for on the 29th is the government that will lead. Whether they will be given 3 ballot papers or not, but they will put a government in place. Whether it is going to be in national or in the province, people have voted a government in. So that interaction, that seamless integration of services, that interconnectedness of departments is what is critical. Issues that were raised here are not sport, arts, and culture issues. Others are social development issues, issue of stable families. Others are agriculture issues, issues of poverty. Yes? What you also said here is that we are signatories of the UN 17 SDGs. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And goal number 1 there says zero hunger. Then, in fact, no poverty. It is zero hunger. And then 10 of that, in fact, 16 of the DSGs talks about social cohesion. And then peace and security. Those are the issues that we were talking about here. And the reminder, we are only 6 years into the 30 years that are the target of the meeting of the DSGs by the entire world. So you have made umhlahlandlela, what we call a foundation of a discussion of us as government assessing our progress towards meeting the DSGs. Thank you for that. Zenihambe kakuhle ke. Zenivote on the 29th. Zeniphume nonke nikhuphe naye wonke umuntu so that ilizwi lenu lilawule. Alizulawula ubani phumanga. Each and everyone. Masingayi-relegate le power sinikezele komnye umuntu. It's the power of each individual that is in the constitution of this country. Enkosi kakhulu, siyabulela. Sibulela is-sponsors. I've been given a list of them. I can't leave them out. Ushiref has been mentioned as a sponsor. Nelson Mandela Bay Metro Municipality. We thank you. E-government is in the wards. Thank you for hosting us and bringing people, your people here. Old Mutual for assisting us. Hollywood Bets, siyabulela nakuyi. Pensalp, siyabulela. Band that was here. Yo, hey, ndikhe ndafana ukubuza la bhuti Monty uba ubuza mali xa i-birthday yomntu ongenamali. Cula kamnandi la bhuti. That band, the groups that were performing here, the mbongis that were praise singing here, thank you very much for making this day a success. All the best and drive home safely. Enkosi.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you, Honorable Konza, for being here. We really needed the legislature to be here as a watchdog of government departments. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of the day. There will be lunch that will be served, and it will come to all of us here. I am just going to request Honorable Deputy Minister and the panelists that you are able to go to the holding room. Before you leave, you are then making the submissions and deliberations in terms of what we were discussing. There is secretariat there so that we are able to take it forward and we are able then to see an action plan moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying the course. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.